So welcome to this video. So in the last video I showed you how easy it is to get started with a Speedment project by using the online initializer to create a Maven project and then use the Speedment graphical tool to connect to a database and use to generate Java code. And we also developed quite a short application where we counted all the salaries in the database and then printed that number out. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can really customize a few things to make it suit your project much more. So the generated code that we have here, first off, it created a lot of code that I don't really need in my application here. I only need the salaries table or possibly the employees table here, but we have a lot of tables in the database. So how do we make it so that Speedment don't generate code for all of these things that we don't really need? The second thing I'm going to look at is how we can control the naming of the different tables here. Because as you can see, my database has all the table names in plural, like employees, salaries, and so on. But a single entity should really be named in singular in the Java code, salary, employee, and so on. So how can we change the naming convention from the graphical tool? The last thing I'm going to look at is how we can make it so that the generated code don't show up in my regular sources directory and instead in the target generated sources, so that if I accidentally do a git commit, I don't get all of the generated code into my repository. I want that only to be present when I compile the projects. So to do all of this, first we need to clear our workspace a little bit so that we don't have all of this old code lying around. So to do that, we have a nice Speedment goal that you can call called clear. So to do that, just write mvn speedment:clear. And it removes all of the generated code from my project. And my main file that I created manually is still here. So that's great. Now we need to start the Speedment tool again. So I'm going to launch Speedment tool. And you remember last time I did this, it asked me for credentials for connecting to the database. But this time it launches immediately. And that's because it already has all of the configuration stored on an offline file. So you don't have to connect to the database unless I press the reload button here. So this time it's loading completely from the stored configuration. So the first thing we want to do is to disable all of the tables that we're not going to use. So a quick way of doing this is to right-click on employees, collapse all, and then expand them again, so I can see all of the tables at the same time. And then I'm just going to go through all the tables that I need and press on them, and then deselect enabled. Then next one, next one. Next, when we have disabled all of the tables we don't need, I want to change the names of these ones so that they are in singular. So to do that, I just press on them and then deselect the auto configuration here on the Java alias. The Java alias is the name that the class will have in the generated code, not the name of the database. So the table name here is what it's called in the database, and then the Java alias is what it's going to be called in Java code. So I can deselect auto and then write employee instead. And then the same thing on the salary. So the next thing I want to do is that I don't want this long package name here of company, employees, 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 and so on. I want something much shorter. So I'm going to go up into the project node here, and then I'm going to deselect auto on package name, and then instead write speedment example db. So all of my generated code will be in this db folder. And then I can go in under the tables. And you see that the first part of the table name has changed corresponding to the product here, but I want to shorten the last part. And the reason why Speedment generates this long path for everything is to guarantee that all tables have unique names, even if you have multiple schemas and multiple DBMs in the same project. But in this project, we just have one DBMS and one schema with two tables, so we can shorten this. And then do the same thing on salary. So, great. So remember, the last thing I wanted to do before we generate code again is that I want my generated code to show up in target generated sources instead of the source main Java folder. And the reason for this is to avoid accidentally committing it to a Git repository. I want it to be only present during the compilation. So to do that, I can go in under employees, and then deselect auto on package location here. And I can just write, instead of source, target generated sources. And now I can press regenerate. So we head back. You can now see that it found a different employees manager and application builder, even though it's not present in the sources here. All the generated code is here under the generated sources in the target folder. So we can just remove this so that IntelliJ can re-import it. Call it salary manager, and then salary here. And now it is present in the correct package with the correct singular names and everything exactly as we want it. So since we have put it in the target folder and the main here, it means that every time we clear the project, all of the generated code will be gone. And this is partially what we want, but we still wanted to regenerate the code so that any changes we've done into the configuration becomes part of the project. So to do that, we can actually automate the generation part in Maven. So we go into the POM file. So here is the POM that the initializer generated for us. And under the Speedment Enterprise Maven plugin here, or Speedment Maven plugin if you're using open source, I'm going to add a executions block. So just write executions, execution, then call it something like generate Speedment sources. And then as the goals, I'm going to add a goal generate. So this means that every time we compile the project, it's going to generate new sources as part of the compilation process. So we can import that. Then we can try and clear and install. So you remember, clear in Maven removes the target folder completely, and then the install will generate the project and regenerate the code as part of that. So you can see that I still have all of my code. So if we want to take it one step further, we want to actually reload from the database and merge any changes that's happened into the database into our project. We can add one goal more. We can add the reload goal here. And if we do that, we need to tell Speedment somehow how to connect to the database, what kind of credentials we want to use. So there is more of this in Speedment manual if you're interested. But one way of doing it is to actually store the credentials here in the configuration, or that is not recommended since it will be present in the Git repository. Another way is to use the Maven settings.xml file and store the credentials there so that Maven can access the database during the compilation process. But for now, I'm going to remove that and just use the generate code.